All right, thank you for joining me for my little humble home gym here. Something I've been creating for probably the last 5 weeks now. I've been really just working on a space to put my bike. You know, we have a Peloton here at home, but I just absolutely love Trainer Road and what it's done for me over the last year and a half. So again, Peloton is great. If you have that at home and you're using it, kudos to you. This is for anybody. You're exercising at home and you're doing some type of workout that requires you to sit in the same position for quite a while. As is the bike. I do this thing. It's about usually an hour to 90-minute rides, 3 to 4 days every week. So if you're doing the home gym stuff, more kudos to you. I'm glad you're doing it. But I'm gonna show you ways to cool down. All right, this is something that I do quite often. The number one thing we want to work on immediately once we're off the bike, I get down on my knees and I just get into a hip flexor stretch and a little child's pose. I'm gonna adjust the camera here to show you what I'm talking about. So hip flexor stretch. I'm gonna stay here on my knees, put one leg in front of me. I'm just gonna make sure my hips are level, and I'm gonna tuck my pelvis right under me. I'm gonna feel a nice, good stretch through the hips. Right, that's the number one thing I'm looking for is this hips right here. I'm actually gonna raise my arm up, big reach. I'm gonna lean across the body, so I'm getting not just psoas, I'm getting TFL by the little reach. I'm getting QL. I'm getting lat. I'm getting all this stuff to loosen up and stretch. Right, I'm spending about 30 seconds to 60 seconds on this. For time's sake today, I'm just going to kind of go through it to show you how to do it. Again, tuck the pelvis. Want to reach up as high as you can. Lean over. Again, a nice big stretch. It's a simple little hip flexor stretch. You can even add a little rotation to it. So again, the hip flexor just doesn't go straight up and down. The hip flexor works in a 3-dimensional pattern, just like all of our muscles do. All of our muscles are very unique and they can rotate. They're very dynamic. They move, they can flex, they can contract, they can do a lot of things. They can slowly relax. So we want to make sure we're working on the broad spectrum of everything. All right, here's another pretty simple stretch that we do. I'll show you real quick. Very similar to what little Roxy Dog just did here. We're just gonna get down on your knees, hands and knees. I'm gonna drop my hips back. It's just a child pose. I'm gonna sink into my hips as far as I can. I'm gonna get my hands out in front of me. I'm gonna reach, try to stay long, engaging my hands to the ground, dropping my hips back. So I'm getting my lats to stretch. I'm getting my low back to stretch. I'm creating space inside my hips by getting my knees wide. One thing you can also do, notice my hands are down. Just to add a little lat stretch to this, go ahead and go ahead and turn your hands, your palms up to the ceiling. You're gonna notice how hard this is, and I want you to make note of which hand it rotates easier. The one that rotates the easiest typically you have a little more flexibility in that lat. A lot of times you may be stuck. You may feel like your hands are just here. This takes work. Another way to specifically stretch your lat, I'm gonna show you a little trick here. So I take this, go right underneath my hips again. I'm gonna take my foot, I'm gonna cross it behind my right knee, and all I'm gonna do is drop my hips back into my right side here. So I'm actually dropping my hips into my right hip here, and I'm gonna take my right hand out in front of me, palm up, and I'm getting a nice lat stretch. I'm getting my QL, which is the outside. I'm getting my hips as well, piriformis just a little bit with that external rotation of the hip. Again, for time's sake, I'm just gonna show you real quick, but typically I hold these from anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. Again, palm up, nice good stretch. All right, and then we're gonna end it. The last one we're gonna do here, again, like I said, lats, hip flexors, calves are a big one too. When you're stuck in these little pedals here, these cleats, with your shoes, your calves take a beating. So I'm gonna make sure we're gonna get that calf to loosen up as well. One big one I use for the calf is, I'll show you from the side here. I make sure to keep my heel down on the ground. And all I'm gonna do is drive my knee forward, but making sure my heel stays down and my arch stays in place. That's the key here. Don't let that arch collapse and let your knee drive in and your hip rotate. I'll show you this from the front, what I mean. You want to stay straight up and down just like this, not rotate in. So I just sacrificed a lot of stuff here. So again, arch in place, drive that knee forward. And what I'm working on right now, because it's a bent knee, I'm getting a lot of soleus, which is the lower calf. I'm getting a little bit of gastroc, but to really specify gastroc, I'll show you a separate one, standing, but for now we'll do the kneeling one. So not only is this calf, we're also working on ankle mobility. That's typically a big issue a lot of adults have. You know, me, I'm very guilty of this. This is a football injury from 1996. It's kind of hard to even think about that time. But that's been bothering me for close to 25 years now. Again, it just takes a lot of work every day. I got to make sure I stay on top of this ankle, because if I don't, it's not very fun. And that's it. So your ankle down, and that's a good stretch. All right, so here's the second stretch for your calf, something very easy to do. I'm just gonna use the bike here. I'm gonna stand up, make sure my back leg is straight, and I'm just gonna push my heel into the ground, but I'm lengthening out my leg. So now I'm getting a little higher up in that gastroc. Just holding it here. Again, for time's sake, I'm gonna speed this up, but typically it's about 30 seconds, 30 to 60. Again, goal is arch stays in place, that's number one. The knee stays in line with your toe, your back leg stays straight, and your heel stays on the ground. So I'm getting length through the whole calf here. And that's it. Some basic stretches I do after I do a little workout, especially being stationary. You know, if you have any questions, feel free to send us a direct message or comment below. I'm more than willing to help you out, just give you some advice and tips that, you know, we use as coaches at our own home gyms. All right, thank you. Have a great day.